But when you're starting out, you don't need anything
Right.
else. You have the skills, but it doesn't feel that way
Yeah.
because we think that it's knowledge that we're lacking, but it's really just the proper mindset and self-mastery, right?
For those of you joining, I have Randy Ballen here, and I'm excited to have her on because just like most of you, you are bookkeeping business owners. Randy started as a bookkeeping business owner, and she was probably going to talk to us a little bit about how she started actually before she started a bookkeeping business and where she is today. So, Randy, you are the one of the owners, correct, of REI Bookkeeping Babes. So there's more than one babe.
Yes, there are two babes. Um, yes, my original bookkeeping business was solo, Ballen Bookkeeping, and Ballen Bookkeeping owns half of REI Bookkeeping Babes with
Awesome.
another BL student.
Awesome, awesome. And so, what made you shift from you started your own booking business solo, and where did that shift happen? Where you said, "Hey, you know what? I should probably partner with somebody." And I asked that because I know that there are many bookkeepers who have started a business and they think this is the route to go. And that was a route that I personally thought I should go with, and it wasn't the best one for me. Uh, what made you make that shift, make that change, and why was it the right move for you?
I think so for me, owning a business is basically a personal development journey. I don't know how you have a successful business otherwise. And so as we kind of grow and as we get to know ourselves better, I think it kind of changes. So when I started the bookkeeping business, I was very shy and introverted, and the thought of talking to people was horrible. I literally thought, oh, I could just like sit at home in my pajamas on my computer and have this business. It's perfect. So I tried that for about a month and that was not working out. So I started networking. And at some point I realized that's what lights me up, like going out and talking to people, educating people, just being out there. That's the part of it that I started to like better than even doing the actual bookkeeping. And so Loretta and I, we started a BL Florida group, which is still going today. But we became friends and kind of business besties, and we would talk to each other about our businesses. At one point, she contracted for me. And so we spoke a lot about our businesses and what we wanted, and we knew each other a long time before we did this. And I used to actually tease her, like, oh, we should just have like, easy Ballen bookkeeper. Ballen easy book, hers was easy bookkeep. So then I went to actually a seminar with Ben Robinson, and he spoke a lot about partnerships and based off of the book, is it Rocket Fuel?
That sounds right. Yes, that sounds familiar.
Where like two people who have opposing skill sets, like partnering is really the best way to go. And so that's what we did. She's very good at things that I am not as skilled at, and I'm very good at things that she's not as skilled at or doesn't enjoy as much. And so I came back from that and was just like, okay, like I know we've been joking about it, but now I'm serious. So you're my first choice for who to partner with. And she said she was in. And so we got together and we selected our niche, which was female real estate investors. And we have not looked back since. So we've been partners now for, I think, 2.5 years.
Awesome, awesome. And so one thing that stands out about your company, both of your companies here, is that it's very unique. I look at it and I see REI Bookkeeping Babes. It's not the most, and I say this with the best of intentions, it's not the most professional name, right? You have the money sign on the babes, and I say that because I think that that's really cool. I think whenever I joined and whenever I kind of started my entrepreneur journey, I thought I had to be a guy in a business suit. If you look at my old like professional photos too, I'm in a suit. I feel like I thought I had to be this uptight business owner, right? And I just really like that. Not only did you mention you picked a niche, but you know exactly what your niche likes and which way you should market yourself. Not only are you looking for female entrepreneurs in this industry, but you are a female entrepreneur. You're a couple of female entrepreneurs working in this industry, right? And I just love when people take their business and they really inject their personality in it. I recently made a video where I talked about your unique blend, your experiences really that they make you who you are as an entrepreneur. And there is a business owner out there looking for a bookkeeper that is exactly who you are right now. So I love that you decided, hey, you know what? You looked in the mirror and you said, you know what I really love? I love the networking. I love talking to people. And you partnered with Loretta and said, we're a perfect match because we complement each other. Your weaknesses are my strengths and your strengths are my weaknesses. So I love that.
I think the most important thing is to be authentically you. So if I was a person that put on a suit and I felt empowered, then I would wear that suit. I'm a person that puts on a suit and I feel like I'm wearing someone else's clothes. If I wear makeup, I feel like I have a mask on, like it doesn't suit me. Yeah. And from day one, actually one of the networking groups that I've been in this whole time, so coming up almost 8 years, the first day I showed up and at that point I had blue hair. I generally wear army boots and leggings and all black all the time. And she pulled me aside and was like, I just want to suggest that maybe you might want to dress a little bit more professionally. And I said, thank you. I appreciate the thought, but this is because at the end of the day, this is who's showing up, right? Yes, so if I wore a suit and you hired me because you felt more comfortable with someone in a suit, you would be really shocked and disappointed when I showed up. But if you're someone that doesn't care what I look like, then you know that from the start and we're all on the same page. Yeah. At the end of the day, we each have people that are our people. Yeah. So I often go networking with other bookkeepers and we can stand 3 in a row and someone's going to be like attracted to my energy and someone's going to be attracted to someone else's. There's plenty of business for everybody. If you have an abundant mindset, then there's nothing to worry about and my people will find me. And I want to repel as much as attract, right? That's something from Bookkeeper Launch I learned a long time ago. In your marketing, you're looking to repel as much as attract. So like this REI Bookkeeping Babes, so many people are like, oh, people don't know what REI is. If you're in REI, you absolutely know what REI is and you're not confused by the store or by any other use of the initials like And babe is in boss babe. Again, like that's your mentality. You're not thinking of it in any other way. So again, it's meant to, and I have actually in BL, someone once posted like, I think it's kind of offensive. Perfect. That's perfect.
Yes, that's so
You
funny.
would not be our ideal client and I'd rather know that now instead of wasting both our time, right?
Yes. That is funny. And I look at your marketing just behind you and I think it speaks to the exact person that you're looking at. A male that's in the REI industry would probably look at that and say, this is probably not for me, right? And that's exactly what you want them to do. Randy, let's shift gears. So you have a business and you've partnered with Loretta. Somehow you managed to, or you decided that you were going to figure out a way to manage to be a founder of a charity. So talk to us a little bit about that.
So the charity, actually, I was doing a real estate investment course. It was like I think a 5 or 7 day masterclass. And so about day 3, they're telling us all these different ways to acquire property at discounted rates and all this stuff. And it just it felt like a download. Like it just hit me. Like this is a great way to help. Like women starting over was my first thought. I have friends that were in bad marriages and so your job record is spotty and you don't have good credit. Like these are typically by design in an abusive relationship, I should say, not just an an unpleasant one.
Sure.
These are things that you see over and over, and it's very difficult to leave, and where are they going to go? And if you have kids, like your kids have to be in a decent school district and all these things. And so it just kind of hit me that I could start a nonprofit. I have like kind of some unique information for both things. I had been doing personal development for a while at that point, and I felt that that would be useful, and the housing part. And then myself, I have gone from having to clean up my credit and figure out how to buy. I actually didn't use credit cards for decades. So when you go to buy a house, that's actually not a good thing.
Very hard
So
to, yeah.
yeah, so I found all these little tricks of how to make myself look better, and I felt like I could offer this information. We could do educational webinars on the mythology about what you need to buy a house, and little things that you can do, and also what to expect when you own a house, because I think a lot of people go in and they don't really understand. I know the first time I owned a house, I did not understand the degree to which my monthly payment could change on a non-adjustable mortgage, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, to me, this is my payment, and then within a few years, it was twice that payment.
And there's only one way that mortgage goes.
Yeah, never the other way. So I started the nonprofit, and it's to address housing insecurity in vulnerable populations. So it's kind of a combination of all the things that I care about and different ways of doing it. So it's important to me to be of service. I feel like that's something that brings me great joy in life, and so this was just an awesome way to do it.
So why did you do it? So why, we know how you did it, but why? You mentioned, is it something that you found like you just felt like you had to give back in some way?
It felt like a calling. So I was not someone who felt like I needed a purpose in life up to this point. Like, it just never occurred to me, just going about living my life, doing the best. And when I had this thought during the master class that I was taking, it felt like a calling, that this is what I need to do. And within a year, I had the nonprofit set up.
Very cool. Very cool.
So yeah, it just kind of, and it was actually a good lesson on my personal development skills and how we manifest things. And because when I was trying so hard to do it, it wasn't working. And then I realized I was trying really hard to get it done in that year, and it was October and it hadn't happened. And I was like, okay, I guess it's not going to happen this year. And I let go of it and lowered the importance of it.
Yeah.
And then literally got an email about doing nonprofits for housing insecurity, and had one set up within a couple months. So
wow, that's awesome. And so before you started your bookkeeping business, I assume you were an employee?
Yes, I would have always been an employee. That was my mindset. So I actually, contrary to a lot of other people, I grew up in a family full of entrepreneurs, and I wanted no part of it.
Yeah.
I wanted security. That was all I wanted, was let me just know that every 2 weeks I get a paycheck and I can live comfortably. I'm a pretty simple girl. Like, I just want to know that I don't have to worry. I want to know that paycheck's coming. And so I lived my life that way for a long time. I worked at Borders bookstore for over a decade, and I thought, I'll work this job the rest of my life. Like, I love this job.
Yeah.
And then that didn't work out because Borders closed, and I got laid off. Took 6 months to find another job, got laid off 6 months or a year after that. And so I kind of started to realize that this doesn't feel so secure. And I ended up with a job at a local dance studio. I worked there also for 10 years. And one day my boss just said, he had owed me some money for something. He said, I realized that I pay you more than I meant to. So from now on, I'm just going to pay you less.
Wow.
And I thought, I don't think so. So it was like November. He's like, so I won't pay you till January. And then in January, I'll just pay you less. Like, that was,
Yeah.
so it kind of was entirely unexpected for me. It wasn't anything I planned on, and I'm not typically at that point was a very like analysis paralysis kind of person. I
Yeah,
would
yeah,
think everything through over and over and over, and I had to know every scenario and I had to know everything. And so this was the first time that I just said to
yeah,
myself, like I'd rather sit at home and do nothing than
yeah,
than show up to work every day and not get paid. It's just a complete lack of respect
yeah,
and
yeah.
appreciation. And so I quit with no notice, which I've never done before.
Mhm.
And I was turning 50 and I just realized people are not interested in hiring women that are 50 years old. And so it just I had been working as a bookkeeper, so it seemed like the perfect fit
Yeah,
for me, the perfect answer. And I had very low goals at the time. I think I
yeah.
was hoping I could make like $40,000 a year with it.
Hmm.
Um, just to have like security, be able to pay my bills and get by. And so yeah, if I hadn't have been in that situation, again, one of those examples where you look back and you go, I thought this was terrible, I love that job, I had it for 10 years,
Yeah,
um I loved the kids I worked, like it was just great, and then I never expected it to not be there.
right, right.
So it seemed like just heartbreaking at the time, but really had that not happened, I never would have started my own business. And now, as you alluded to, I'm a serial entrepreneur. And like the idea of working for someone else, I don't even
Yeah,
know how I could do it.
yeah. Well, I think one of the things you touched on there is that we sometimes think that having a job is security, that is, you collect a paycheck and you don't necessarily have skin in the game where you're not directly contributing to the business, but you're contributing to it as an employee. And so I think what you realize is that you're expendable as an employee, and unfortunately you have no say in it, right? And the unfortunate side of like Borders, your job at Borders, uh, it just went out of business. So you had no control. You have nothing that you could do. Your job is gone. So
It's actually the opposite of security, right? Like
yeah,
you have no security because everything is dependent upon the actions of other people.
right, right,
And I think there used to be a point where there was loyalty on both ends of employer and employee. And I think that over time that's really changed a lot.
hmm,
And neither one has that same level of commitment. And I think like for at one point it was money based, like, oh, people would like go across the street if they could make more money.
yeah,
And now I think like younger generations, it's actually more like, how does this enhance my life? Is this like a cultural fit for me?
yeah,
Does this allow me to have balance? Do I feel good about saying I work here? Like there's different things, but at the end of the day, there's not as much loyalty. People are far more willing to like leave a job
sure,
than, I grew up being taught like, oh, you just get a job and you keep that job till you're retired. Like the
yeah,
people in my family that weren't entrepreneurs basically worked for the government
right,
because it was
right.
like a lifetime job. So yeah.
So Randy, what was the like biggest transition for you personally when you went from employee to business owner?
There was a lot of good things right off the bat where I realized like, oh, I don't have to ask anybody permission to do
Yeah,
anything. And some of the things that you don't think about, like you might think of big things, but like having a friend call on a Tuesday afternoon and saying, oh, like I'm in town, do you want to do lunch? And realizing, oh, wait, I can. Like
yeah,
I can just stop what I'm doing and come back to it later.
yeah,
Um, and just feeling again like I have control over my destiny. And once you understand that you have the ability to create revenue for yourself, then it's a whole different ball game, and it really opens up the world to you. But you definitely, and the other good thing too is I spent a lot of years having to explain and defend other people's decisions, other people's policies, the way that they handle business.
hmm,
And So it was nice to be the one that decides this is how I'm handling business. This is what I want my business to feel like to my clients. So that was good. But definitely, for me in the beginning, I didn't want employees. Again, I was thinking small and I thought, oh, I don't like employees. That's a whole other thing. I don't think I can handle it. And I started making money. I remember signing up for the course thinking, oh my God, like this is so much money. How am I going to do this? And within 6 months, it was no problem to do any of it.
That is awesome.
And I started, it was actually on a phone call for Bookkeeper launch. And all of a sudden, like it dawned on me who I was. Like, I feel like I had forgotten all the things that I used to do for work.
Yeah.
And I remembered like, oh, like I've been an HR manager. I've been a regional, I've done things regionally. I've been the person that like fixed stores that were underperforming. Like, what makes me think that I'm not capable of this?
Yeah.
And a switch kind of flicked, and I was like, okay, I can do this, and I need to think bigger. And I realized like I can do this, can be whatever I want it to be.
Yeah.
And then I started with contractors and then employees and then all of that stuff.
Awesome. So your journey, similar to mine, we joined Bookkeeper Launch. We went through the course and we started a bookkeeping business. Similar to you, I came in thinking, hey, if I can just make about 50 grand a year, I will survive. I will be okay. And it's better than having a job, right? And similar to you, there was a mindset shift where I realized, hey, I can do this. I can do more than this, right? And I think, like you, it's kind of interesting the way you described it, because it's exactly how it felt for me too. It just felt like it was like a switch all of a sudden that said, I'm a business owner. I'm not while my clients have a say in what I do because I want to make them and keep them happy. Ultimately, if I decide that I don't want to work with them, I have that power, right? So it's empowering to have that thought, to have that feeling that you are the business owner and you're not stuck working with your current clients, and you're able to, like you said from the beginning, repel certain prospects from joining, from like seeking out your services right from the get-go. So Randy, you and I are both part of a not necessarily a cohort, of a group of students, right? We all have gone
a subset.
Yeah, we've a lot of us have gone through Bookkeeper Launch, and I know a lot of our subscribers are from Bookkeeper Launch, and some of them aren't, right? Maybe you're somebody that's, if you're watching, maybe you're somebody that's kind of contemplating or have thought about owning a bookkeeping business, but I know that a big subset of our viewers are Bookkeeper Launch students. And you being part of that group, what have you seen in there has been the biggest struggle? And I want to hear from your perspective, because I see it on my end, and I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on new students that join, maybe have gone through the course already, and they think, maybe I can't do this. What do you think is that hurdle that's stopping them?
It's 100% mindset. So this course is fantastic. I've gone through it. I know exactly what they've been taught. You absolutely have enough to start a bookkeeping business if you've completed the course. But people get stuck, and what it feels like to them is, I can't think of the perfect name. Like I just can't find a good name, or like my website. I got to build that website, or like all these little things, or they feel like knowledge, like I need another course after this course. And I'm not saying someday, like for me, we specialize in REI bookkeeping. That's a different type of bookkeeping. So yes, I took another course to learn how to specifically do that type. But when you're starting out, you don't need anything else. Right. You have the skills, but it doesn't feel that way, because we think that it's knowledge that we're lacking, but it's really just the proper mindset and self-mastery, right? Once we learn that, then we realize, I've gotten calls from bookkeepers all the time to mentor them, and what that means to them is like, hold my hand while I do the books and look over this and look over that. There's all kinds of assistance available in the Bookkeeper Launch program. You don't need that from me.
Yeah.
What you need is a better view of yourself and the true belief that you can do this. And that's what makes the difference. So it keeps people stuck feeling like they have to do everything perfectly or they have to have all the answers day one. And the truth is you do not.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we need a good kick in the pants. That's somebody that tells us, hey, stop working on your website. Go get a client. Go network. Go, join groups that you can network and meet people that could potentially be your clients. What you described, I feel like you described me to a T. Yeah. When I started my business, I think I created 3 different sets of business cards, and I've probably handed out less than 100 business cards. I was so busy tinkering with making the perfect business card instead of growing my business. And I think that's just something that we do. We try to find busy work so that we avoid the scary work that is meeting people and talking about the business and actually growing the business.
Yes, and it's a fear response, right? Because it's really scary to do this new thing that we've not done before. Yeah. And your whole system, your brain, your body, it wants to keep you safe. And so it gives you all these really rational sounding thoughts that like, oh, well, clearly if I don't have a good name, like that's important. I can tell you, having had the name Ballen Bookkeeping, which was the default that I was given, like if you can't think of a clever name, just use your name and bookkeeping. Yeah. And I used that name for 5 years. Still exists, so still use it. And I have a clever name, barely. And you know what? No one cares. No one cares at all about your name. They care about you, the service you're providing, how comfortable they feel, and the name doesn't mean anything. So I've really, in subsequent businesses, just learned that, like, I don't waste any time on it. Yeah. And here's the thing. If I wake up tomorrow and I think of the most brilliant name, like this is so clever, I can't stand myself, I'll do a DBA and I'm set. I don't have to change anything. It's a super easy process and I can use that name everywhere.
Yeah.
So the most important thing is to get started, because until you actually have that first client, you don't feel like a business owner, right? It feels like this false thing. And so even to say you have a business, like it feels weird saying it. So everything in the beginning has to be geared towards, how do I get a client? Like, what am I doing that's going to move me closer to getting that first client? Yeah. And then once you get client, all of it can be sorted. You can find your niche. You can do your branding. You can create that website. You can do all the things, but none of it's necessary to get started.
Yeah. And I think one of the most common questions that I see from new students is, what do I say if people ask me how much experience I have? So what do you say to that student?
I can tell you, first off, that is also a mindset issue. I hardly ever got asked how long I've been in business or how many clients I had. And I would tell people like I'm a new business. Mm-hmm. That answers the question. They don't need to know if it's 1 day or 60 days or a year, right? Like, mm-hmm. I'm a new business. But I think when you go out there and you're feeling so insecure about everything, then you kind of say it in a way, your energy kind of gives you away, and people start going, well, how many clients do you have? Or how many? I think if anybody asks anything like that, I don't lie, but also, like, you don't have to answer their questions exactly in the way that they give it, but it really didn't come up with all the networking I did. And sometimes it was 3 networking events in a day. Like, I was networking. It was my job, right? To go out and meet people and get the first few clients. And I really didn't get asked that. Yeah. And I would interject. I basically memorized like some advice that I could give them, some educational things. And I would try to like work that in as early in the conversation as possible, because I felt like that showed that I knew what I was talking about. Yeah. And it stopped them from having any doubt. So literally just telling people like, bank statement and credit card statements aren't enough. That sounds like, doesn't everybody know that? Yeah, if you've been a bookkeeper, you know that. But if you're a normal person, you have no idea. It doesn't, so
Yeah.
people still to this day, like years later, mention like this great advice I gave them, which was really like the most
Is yeah,
basic
yeah.
things. But I had just a few things like meals, like I had like three things I memorized that I was like, okay, like I'm gonna look for opportunities to see if I can work this into a conversation. And it was helpful, right? So you're adding value right out the gate, and it shows that you're knowledgeable, and then people don't ask you those questions.
Right, right. So like shifting your mindset from being an employee to a business owner really switched the way that you communicate, it sounds like, right? And that's what we're looking for when you're a new business owner. If you're worried about what a client might ask you, it's usually because there's a failure in communication. Your mindset has not shifted to that entrepreneur, and I'm speaking from experience as well. Randy, what you described is exactly what I've described. I don't think I've ever had a client ask how long I've been in business. As long as you are showing confidence in your skills and that you can help them, they don't care how long you've been in business. I mean, I think about how often have I ever asked a contractor that's like coming to work in my house, or I don't know, remodel something or work on my car. I don't
The
know.
doctor, we go to a doctor and we don't say like, oh.
How long have you been practicing? Yeah. we don't do that, right? And that's because we assume they know what they're doing. In the same way, those clients that are meeting with you, they assume that you know what you're doing already. So I think it's just a matter of now you making that assumption that you do know what you're doing.
And after Bookkeeper launch, you know enough. I promise you, you know more than 90% of the business owners out there. So you take it for granted
Yeah.
because you were given that information, or if you use, however way you're doing bookkeeping, there are certain basic things that you know, and you assume that everybody knows them, and everybody does not know them. Business owners know so little about their own financials.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. So
Yeah.
you have so much value to add right from day one. Like once you've gotten through not even the whole course, just like the bulk of the bookkeeping knowledge, you know more than the people that you're going to be speaking to.
Yeah.
So act like
Yeah, exactly.
it.
That's the kick in the pants that we need, right? Act like it now. Randy, so we've talked about your business, the mindset shift that you had, and even your charity, but there's something else that you've started now. You've started a mentorship program. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Astrius Transformations is my new business, and super excited about it. Bookkeeper launch, as we all know, has like a third of it is mindset stuff. When I first started, that was my introduction to mindset. I had no idea what it was. And I thought it was weird, honestly, when I first saw, like, what does this have to do with starting a bookkeeping business? Like, I want to know how to get my EIN. I just want to know.
Teach me the X's and O's, right? And you're like, I got the rest of it.
You're like, what is this? And I started doing it, and I became super excited about it. Anytime a book was recommended, I would read that book. I started finding all these workshops all over the internet that you could take for free or for like $10 or, $20, whatever. And I would just, every opportunity I had, and I realized that I was starting to shift. And so around 2020 was COVID. There was a thing called Real Success Summits. They put on these free weekend online summits that would have just people that were experts in all different fields. So whether it was financial, the stock market, marketing, everything, and you would just pick and choose what you wanted to watch. And I found Peter Sage on there, and my whole world changed. So I started doing little courses with him and gradually worked my way up to bigger courses, and realized like I'm not even the same person. Like I'm really unrecognizable from who I was 10, 15 years ago. And the amount of times I get told that is kind of scary. But it's true. and eventually got certified in his programs to be
Yeah.
able um, to teach them. So for me, I would say like the big three things, which I already kind of alluded to one, like self-mastery versus knowledge mastery. Like we always feel like we need more knowledge, but we don't. We just need to learn how to master ourselves and our mindset. Like 95% of our thoughts are subconscious.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge, and our mind is designed to go towards scarcity, towards lack, and that's something like in BL we were already taught, like don't have a scarcity mindset, have an abundant mindset.
Yeah.
There's plenty out there, but kind of the world reflects back to you where you're at.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I remember he said like there's basically one question to ask, like do you live in a friendly universe or do you live in a hostile universe? And if you live in a friendly universe, then what are you worried about? Like, it's
Yeah.
fine. It's all going to be fine. And even when when these things happen and we think, oh, that's awful, it's because we don't know the whole story yet. We don't know how it's going to turn out. So like when I lost, the job at the dance studio or quit or however, that felt horrible. And now it was like one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
So that I would say that your net worth follows your self-worth,
Yeah.
right? Like people think they'll feel better about themselves if they're successful and they make more money and if they achieve certain things. But if you're not okay with yourself, no matter what you get, money, awards, achievements, it's never going to satisfy you, right? It's always going to be lacking, and there's always going to be a higher rung or someone that did it better or faster or different. And so you're never going to be satisfied. And he is the example of a thermostat. You have like a financial thermostat where you're comfortable making this amount of money. And if you don't do the work to be able to adjust to a different temperature, you either won't get there, or if by some freak of nature you get there, you will sabotage it till you go back down to the level that you're comfortable at. And I have had this in my life more times than I can say.
Yeah.
And basically you have an emotional bank account and a financial bank account, and the financial is directly influenced by the emotional. So if you can learn that you're worthy, right? Like we were all born worthy. And when like think of a baby and the unconditional love and how like if they poop it, like you're excited, like everything they do is wonderful. And then as we start to get older, your parents are like, don't touch that hot stove, don't do this, don't do that. And then we go to school and there's a whole bunch of things. And so it's chipped away at. Yeah. So we have to come back to that, right? You have to remember that you're worthy just by being alive, right? You're a human being. Yeah. You're just as good as everybody else. The difference is, do you believe it?
Right.
And it's work. It's absolutely work.
Yeah.
I think something he said hit me. He said like the quality of your life is directly proportionate to the amount of uncertainty you can comfortably live with.
Okay.
And I was like, because at that point it was zero.
Yeah.
Like I was not comfortable with any level of uncertainty. I was like, okay, well, this could happen, this could happen, this can happen. If this happens, then I'm going to do this. If that happens, I'm going to do this. If that happens, I'm going to do this. And just like thinking everything to death, right?
Yeah.
And I think we all have this habit of like, well, that's just how I am. So like, I'm just an overthinker. That's just how I am. It's how I was born. No, it wasn't. It was a behavior that I learned. And then I'm like hanging on to for dear life. And it causes stress. And when I let that go and I realized really like, I'm going to be fine.
Yeah.
And the things that I stress about are never even the things that happen. The things that happen are things that you never even thought of in the first place, right? So you're like, you couldn't prepare for it, but just know whatever happens, I can handle it.
Yeah.
I have support, I have friends, I have family, like I'll deal with whatever happens. So spending all my time worried about something that probably is never going to happen was robbing me of like the joy
The
of
joy,
every
yeah.
day and stressing me out and causing me physical problems,
Yeah.
right? Like there's so many things that happen from the levels of stress that we exist with and always feeling like,
Yeah.
fight or flight kind of mentality that really struck me as I need to work on this. And now I can say I really am entirely comfortable. I know whatever I don't need to know. I don't need to think about it. I don't need to plan out all these different strategies. I just
Yeah.
need to know I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Whatever I have to figure out, I will figure out and I'll be fine. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so I got certified to teach it. I work with women who have been in domestic violence situations. I've worked with a lot of trafficked women, and my thought for getting certified was like, these are people that'll never come across this, but it would really help them like immeasurably.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'm sure it's one of those things where they really need it and they almost don't know they do that's what they need, right? And so unless they run into somebody like you, they'll never get that help.
yeah, and it's a tall mountain for them to climb. But then I just realized, I think first off, I made peace with the fact that like personal development it's a journey. Like I will always have to work on myself. I always
Sure.
want to be better, and whatever I achieve, like why do you not want to be better? Because if you're not growing, what are you doing, right? You're stagnating. That's not good. So part of that for me is living in this world of focusing on these concepts and ideas, because you can lose it, right? You can get up here, and if you're not paying attention,
Yeah.
you can slide backwards
And
faster than you might think.
right.
So I decided like women owning businesses has always been really special to me. People in general owning businesses. I just think that we've been taught to be good employees.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're never gonna surpass a certain level as an employee,
Yeah.
right? Like you're always, and again, like we mentioned earlier, you're always at somebody else's will, right? If they
Right.
decide they want to fire you, you really don't have recourse.
Right.
So it just struck me that this is something really helpful, because I see it in the bookkeeping group. I'm in groups for real estate investing. I see it in there. It's the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
The nonprofit world, same thing. People sign up, they pay for these courses, and then they never do the thing because they're always waiting. And what I learned is you just do the thing. Like I feel like I wouldn't have the thought if I wasn't capable of pulling it off.
Right.
So you just start doing the thing, and then you figure it out as you go.
Right. I think the same way with like new clients. I'm like, I feel like I'm at capacity. I'm like, there's no way I could take on a new client. And then a new client comes in and we figure it out, right? We figure it out. So I think that's great advice.
Or when you have a client and you like sit down with their books for the first time and you're like, what was I thinking? Why did I say yes? I have no idea how to do this. And you get all overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And then like for me, it was just like, okay, just start with one little piece and don't think about the rest. Just I'm gonna like fix one bank account or one credit card account. And then it starts to all fall together, and before long, you're doing it and it's no big deal at all. It's just that initial feeling of like, what did I do?
Yeah. And Randy, who is this mentorship program for that you're offering?
So it's for anyone that's ready for it, is what I will say. So personal development at the heart is like radical personal responsibility. You have to accept that the things in your life are related to what you've allowed or what you've thought about, what you've focused on, not intentionally. Like I said, 95% is subconscious. So it's not that you're purposely thinking, oh, I would like to have this crappy job and I would like to, but that is what's going on in your mind. And if you don't learn self-mastery and how to control that and how to replace those thoughts with better thoughts, essentially we're always manifesting.
Yeah.
We're just manifesting things that we don't want, because that's what we're focused on, right? Whenever you focus on something, it grows.
Yeah.
So people focus on all the wrong things. People speak in the negative, like learning how to speak where you address things from the positive angle and not the negative. That's hard. I'm still working on it.
Yeah, yeah,
Most people I talk to will tell you I'm positive, and then you talk to someone who's like been doing personal development and they're like, you might want to reword that. And you're like,
yeah, yeah. That's funny. It's funny that you say that, and I think about it from my perspective. I love golfing, um, and that is the one thing that you'll always see. Any golfer will tell you, if there's a big lake on the left that you need to avoid, your mind is saying, okay, you can't go left. There's a lake, and guess where that ball goes? Exactly
Yep.
where you said not to. Like it's funny how our mind works that way.
Every time. I mean, I think at the heart of it, your mind believes everything that you tell it.
Yeah.
So if you tell it all the time, I can't do this, I'm stupid, I'm not smart, I'm not fun, I'm not like able to talk to people. Like I had to stop all of that. Self-deprecating sense of humor. Like I was the queen of like self-deprecating humor. And if you ask me, I would say, oh, it doesn't affect me. But then like you think about it, how can that not affect you?
Yeah.
How can me telling myself negative things all the time, like if anybody tells you negative things every day, even if they're not true, like it bothers you. You're like, why are they telling me that? Like there must be something they're seeing that I don't understand. So yeah, you have to be ready for it. It is work. I always say it, like it's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like what I'm here to do in my capacity as a mentor, as a coach, whatever you want to say it, is like basically help you become your own guru, help you learn how to help yourself, help you remember who you are and what you're capable of, and really choosing your responses to situations, choosing what you're going to do, not based off like these artificial limits that we give ourselves, right? Like we pick out of what we think the choices are, but really there's infinite choices. You can be whatever you want. Are you willing to do the things to be it? Like, I could be a better athlete. Do I want to do the things that it would take? No, I don't.
Yeah.
So I accept that.
Yeah.
I am not a good.
And so this is for whether you're just starting your entrepreneur journey as a bookkeeper, or you're a seasoned veteran where you've been bookkeeping for years and you just kind of need, I know firsthand, there's times where I've been doing this since, as a business owner since 2017. I know there's times even today where I need to kind of go back to my roots, and I have to think to myself, why did I start this? Because it does, your mindset just kind of, it tends to shift, right? If you're not telling yourself to stick to this, to look at that light at the end of the tunnel, and instead our mind is telling us to look every other way, right? So your mentorship is for anybody that is in need of it, right?
For anyone. I mean, even people that don't want a business. If you just feel like kind of stuck in your life, or like there's something more. If you want to start a business but you're scared, if you have a business but you want to like go to the next level, if you're just feeling dissatisfied or stressed or overwhelmed. I was the most anxious person there was. And now when I'm around anxious people that I've known for forever, like it's weird to me that I never noticed how anxious they are. And then I have to remind myself, because you were in that boat with them. You were like also catastrophizing and like feeling about all these different things that could happen and worrying. And so I think for me, it's if you want to have a more peaceful life, if you want to have a more successful, abundant life, if you want to, what I love about his programs is that they're all inclusive. So it addresses business concerns, it addresses personal relationships, it addresses health and vitality, it addresses all these different areas, your values, right? Like I never thought about what my values are. And then like the program posed a question, what are your values? And then show me how you like live those values out every day.
Yeah.
And most of the time you're like, well, I don't, because those aren't really your values. That's something that was put in your head by like your family or society or school. And here's something interesting too. Like all of this is science. We call it woo because
Yeah, yeah,
That's how people kind of like put it off, but it's really science and epigenetics where like things are passed down, like traumas are passed down within
yeah, yeah,
families. And so people act in ways, even if it's not them that
yeah,
suffered that
yeah,
trauma, there's a difference in how people in that lineage act until they do the work and correct
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So yeah, all of it is science based and it's really interesting. It's amazing how much our brains and our bodies are capable of.
Yeah, yeah.
So that
And
is the
I'm
trick, living in harmony with your own self, right?
right, right. It's funny, and I'm glad you acknowledge that. Like, I think to most people, and it sounds like including yourself, you hear things like some of the advice you're giving, and you think like, well, that sounds a little crazy. That sounds a little off the wall. Like I just needed to learn my debits and credits, and I'll be a good bookkeeper. Or I just need to learn how to market myself. I need the perfect marketing campaign. Um, but I 100% agree with you. It might sound like it's way out of left field, but it starts with your mindset. It doesn't matter. You could be the best bookkeeper. You can have the best marketing campaigns. If your mindset's not ready to take that step to be that entrepreneur, you might grow a business, but you're going to limit yourself, right?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And you'll struggle with it when there's no need to struggle. I think one of the best quotes I had was like, you'll never exceed your opinion of yourself.
yeah,
And that's really what holds most of us back. So, um, and like I said earlier, to own a business, it is a personal development journey because
yeah,
it's so much influences and these things that we think are like time management, right? Or everybody who feels like they have enough time, right? All these people feel like, oh, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time.
yeah,
Time management is an emotional regulation issue. It's not a time issue. We all have the same amount of time and people get crazy amounts of stuff done in it and people get nothing done
yeah,
with it. And learning to like take the time to care for yourself and to put yourself in the right mindset um, gets you your return on investment is always going to be huge.
yeah. And Randy, if I'm seeking to join your mentorship program, what does that look like? Like, what is my day to day, week to week? What does that program look like?
So I offer a couple of programs, but the program that I think is great for people in bookkeeper launch is Ultimate Self Mastery.
Okay.
And this is a 12-month course, so 1 year, at the cost of $349, so less than $1 a day. The commitment is about an hour a week. So it is made for busy people,
Yeah.
stressed people to be able to get the information without adding to the burden. And I mean, some of the things I've mentioned that I've learned, just imagine those few things. Like if you got even only just one thing every week,
Yeah.
that's 52 life-changing pieces of information. And it drips down, so you only can access for the week. So there's no pressure to do more than what you're supposed to do, and it follows a very specific path. There are monthly meetings put on by Sage Academy where everybody that's in Ultimate Self-Mastery goes on, and they have different expert trainers come on and talk about different topics. Um, for Bookkeeper Launch, I'm going to be offering another monthly call specifically just for Bookkeeper Launch students. I have some students already in the program, and I know people who have graduated from the program that are in Bookkeeper Launch. And so definitely I think that there's a lot that could be gained from those phone calls that's a little bit more specific as well. But I would always recommend both calls. And the calls
Yeah.
are all recorded, and also when you sign up you get all the previous calls, so you
Yeah.
could literally just go through. If you had extra time, you can go through and watch different
Yeah.
calls on different topics and learn.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm curious, is this program something that I should have an end in mind? Like, for example, is this something that obviously personal development is something that we're always working on, right? 24/7. There is no finish line. There's always more steps we can take. With this mentorship program, is there like an end goal, or is this something that after we finish this and I look back, a year from now and say, wow, look at all this growth that I've made? Do I continue on and say, all right, let's see where we can take this year two? Or is this just something that is 1 year and then it just kind of recycles for the next year?
So there's other programs that I have. There's also at the end of the year, they usually offer a legacy thing that you can opt into, and then you're just in that group forever. So like I can still go to the monthly meetings, even though I haven't been in Ultimate Self Mastery. I took it a while back. One of the things I love about this program too is the community. He feels really strongly about building community. So there's community groups that you can talk to and programs. I would say as far as what you want to get out of it, the goal is basically to build a better you.
Yeah.
So exactly what that's going to mean when you start the course, you should definitely think about your why and your intentions for taking it. But my experience is that over time, that's really going to change, because you're going to realize a lot of the things that we think are our goals and our dreams, they really aren't ours. Yeah. Right? There are either our limiting beliefs holding us, like you can't think up here so your dream can be here, or things that other people have instilled in us that this is a good thing to do. So I don't see how anybody can take this course for 12 months and not be changed.
Yeah.
And I hear that from people. While I was taking the more advanced course, some people I know are taking Ultimate Self Mastery, and just they all benefited from it. I haven't seen anybody that did this and didn't feel noticeably, literally $349. If you don't feel like you got $3,000 worth of improvement from this, I don't even know what you were doing.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, and I love the low price point, because, and not only that, I love that it's digestible. One hour a week is not. I can find an hour a week, right, for self-improvement. I spend more time than that just scrolling through YouTube videos or social media.
And cat videos.
Yeah.
Or in my case, music videos.
Yeah. All right. And so, Randy, we're going to have the links available to your mentorship program in the description below this. But before we close, what is one, for somebody watching right now that is maybe stuck, or maybe they find themselves in a place where they wanted to start a business, a bookkeeping business, and maybe they're struggling to get that first client. What is one small step or one small piece of advice that you would give to that person?
Definitely work on your beliefs. If you can't do a course, read a book. There's books all over the place. Really try to surround yourself with people that are doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
So environment beats will. If you hang around with people who are at an employee mindset, who are negative thinkers, that is what you're going to be. Even if you fight against it for a while, eventually that's going to win out. So really try to find people that are doing what you want to do. I spend a lot of time talking to people starting out in their businesses, because that's important to me, that people have the chance to be successful, and just seeing. And also I think it's always helpful to know that other people's, it's not easy for anyone.
Yeah,
we all have things we face. We've all done things and then you think, oh, I shouldn't have done that way. I should have done this way, right? Yeah. But that's all part of the process. It's all learning. And if you're not taking chances, you're never going to get anywhere. So you don't lose, but you also never gain.
Right.
And I think even more than yes, there's money to be made when you get your mindset correct. Yeah. There's opportunities that you never even fathomed when you get your mindset correct. But more than that is what a joy. I wake up every day. I'm just excited for the day. I'm just happy. I'm grateful. I'm peaceful. I'm excited to start my day. Who doesn't want to live like that?
Yeah. Randy, thank you so much for taking the time and telling us a little bit about your journey, telling us about your businesses that you've started and Asterisk. I'm really excited to see where you take this. I remember when you told me about your charity that you were starting, that you founded. I thought it was really cool for me personally just to hear that, because I know that it was coming. You're not in that to make any money, right? You're doing that because you're finding a way to.
It's where I spend my money.
Yeah, your heart's in the right place, and I think that's personally, and I know that this isn't the case for everyone, but I think like that's um, my favorite and the best entrepreneurs are those that are in this to kind of leave this world a better place, I should say, right? So
yeah, agree. That is definitely the goal.
If Randy's story resonated with you and you're ready to shift your mindset, grow your confidence, and step fully into your role as the CEO of your business, go check out her mentorship program. This isn't just about learning what to do, it's about learning who to become. You'll find all of the details in the description below. Thanks again for tuning in. If you found value in this conversation, give it a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'll see you next time.